Let's see how this is going. Hey, hey. I was wrong. There's obviously a party here somewhere. I'm just not invited. Okay. So I'm using Haps. This is supposed to go through Twitter, whatever remains in Periscope, and probably YouTube. Wait, I thought I could get Instagram connected, but I don't know. I forgot to check before I go live. So it all depends. It all depends on whether people can see me here. Hey, fitties, vids. When is the next food stream? It's I don't want to just say it will happen and it won't happen. So you just have to keep an eye. When you see the hashtag Whole Foods, it's probably me eating or cooking. How about that? Actually, food doesn't mean I have to cook, right? Yeah. So whenever I see interesting food, I should stream about it. Yeah. It's been a while. Yes. Yes. I understand. Yeah. Um, it's a very long holiday in Thailand today. Well, this week because it's Thai New Year. Unfortunately, there's an outbreak. You did two food scopes, I believe. Wow, good memory. Yeah. Um, Thai New Year, and it's supposed to be big celebration time. Scotch eggs and stuffed jalapeno. I made pizza today with my son, sort of. If I were to stream it, it would be super, super complicated. And I don't think I could even eat at 9 p.m. So time is of the essence, and sometimes I just have to, like, weight the pros and cons and do the most I can with whatever I have. Um, but yeah, I was saying how in Thailand this week, because it's Thai New Year's, it's supposed to be the busiest time with traveling and festivals and events and all that. But because there's a new wave of outbreak in Chiang Mai, where I'm staying at right now, and also in many provinces, yeah, in Thailand. I think people have basically. I've canceled my flight to Bangkok. I've canceled a booking reservation at a very nice restaurant in Bangkok, and a lot of people who were supposed to travel to Chiang Mai have also canceled their reservations. So once again, economy is being shut down with the servicing industry. Domestic tourism is completely devastated, and we're in a state of, like, if you're rich, then it doesn't really matter, and if you're poor, then you're out of luck because you might not even make enough money to make ends meet these days. So it's quite sad, I have to say. It's quite sad. Yeah. Um, so I'm sitting at home, trying to get some work done, trying to spend some time with my kids, trying to figure out Clubhouse, and I also need to think what to do about live streaming because it's obvious, right? I don't know how the counter goes, but um, yeah, it's partially my fault because I haven't been streaming, and so viewership in Haps is super low. I don't have a large audience on Twitter, and I don't have a lot of people following me on my YouTube channel as well. So right now, I don't even know what is the correct number of viewership that I can make reference to in Haps. So it's very confusing without anyone commenting except Fiddies. Fiddies. and I don't even know if you're still around. So it feels like talking. I'm talking in a dark hole. Fetus, fetus. How long is it gonna take me to say your name right? Fetus. Hey Betty, how's it going? Hey Sarah. Yep, I'm here. Hey Jayavel. I'm glad. Finally, some comments coming in. The feeling is weird when I have to talk in front of the camera and seeing, no comments. It's almost like I'm doing a monologue. Hey, Rob, how's it going? So I was going to say something about Thailand, but I wasn't sure if anyone is interested in hearing it. Um, but I don't always want to talk about COVID, and so happens we're being hit by another wave. You have to consider replay viewers also. Yes, you are correct. And I do have messages that ask me if I have been streaming these days. So I suppose people still think about it. And I'm really trying to think of uh, my purpose of continuing with my broadcast. Um, and I don't want to be random anymore. I want to really have a purpose. I want to not focus on the quantity but the quality of my streams. And so what would make me happy is that if I were to do a whole interview, there will still be people watching it, and maybe I can just record it and use it for uh, repopulating it in YouTube or something like that. As far as whole chat goes, I enjoy this as long as there's people chatting with me. But um, I really don't know what is the stickiness of Haps right now. Now, Betty, I've known you for a long time. Jayavel is watching this from Twitter. Fetus is watching this in Haps. And how many regional cuisines of China are they? Would you say 5 or 8 main ones? Wow, it's more than that. You have your actually wait. It's actually 8 main ones if you ask the official Chinese. I don't know, like uh, uh, I think it's somewhere between 8 to 10. Yeah, and I'm supposed to know all the regions of it. Yes, but as far as I remember, it has to be more than five because the region of Shanghai is one, but not Shanghai itself. The region of Canton is one. The region of Northeast is one. The region of uh, um, Northwest is one. And then there's one which is on the southern side, but not the Canton side. So they do it by regions, right? And it's very different. It's very different. The ingredients, the way they cook the food. Uh, I think most of the time when you're outside of China, um, you're looking at something that is a mixture of different regions. Beijing one and Shanghai one. Yeah, but it's actually not Beijing. It's they call it Peking, Gingchoi, right? So it is that it is including Beijing, but it's actually that region. Sichuan is one. Shanghai is probably one. Canton is one. Hunan, yes. Hebei, yeah. So hey Max, how's it going? Um, and there's something is happening, and I don't know if you guys know about another live streaming platform that I want to mention, which is created by a periscoper called Simon Pickup. I think Max would definitely know about this by now. It's called Heckle, if I'm pronouncing it right. And a Heckle is kind of like its own broadcasting app. It's very primitive when it comes to the user interface, but because it's so simple, the latency is near zero. It only has iOS, correct? And the viewership, the resolution is very, very clear. But Heckel, Heckle. What about Clapper? I haven't heard of Clapper. Is it any good? I mean, it's come to a point that it's so fragmented right now, right? So a lot of people are using Haps. I have a sore throat and a stuffy nose, but it's more like allergy or something like that. It's kind of weird, but you can hear the voice of mine being different right now. So I mean, there's people who kind of migrated to just YouTube, Twitch. A lot of us are being in Haps, and now Simon created Heckle, Heckle. I think I'm supposed to say it that way. There's Prism, and so there's StreamYard, right? So everyone's using different things. Um, it's interesting. It's interesting, definitely. Um, I still don't know how the counter works. So it says I have people who reacted to your posts, 46 others. Oh, okay. But it doesn't say, yes, heckle, like heckle someone. I don't see heckle on App Store. It's only in alpha mode, so it's not even on App Store. They're just doing testings right now, so it's not even at beta phase. No, it doesn't show. Yeah, so I don't know if it's a good thing or not to not show viewer numbers. Maybe that's something I should ask the Haps team. One thing I do notice is there's definitely more broadcast in within the Haps ecosystem at a certain time. You have a show to do. Okay, Max. Thanks for popping in. I hope you're doing well in New York, and I miss you. Take care. They are asked that all the time. It's not easy dealing with us periscopers, I tell you. We are very demanding because we came from a place that the product was really good, and we demand the same wherever we go, you know. I think it's good. I think it's good to have a certain standard and say, hey, get on with it. Otherwise, I'm not going to use it, you know. You consider Chinese cuisine among the three best in the world. This is a very personal thing, but fetus, I mean, I think it's underrated um, because anything that's Chinese these days are considered like man, right? But if you look at the culture and if you really appreciate food, the way how they make any dish in China, regardless of any region, is very sophisticated. From sourcing the ingredients to treating it to cooking it and presentation and everything. Like if you have been to very fancy Chinese restaurants, it's just like mind blowing good. But they never get mentioned because if you talk about international cuisine, it's always the French, right? And somehow American cuisine is lobbed into that basket when I don't even know what American cuisine means. Like I love my burgers, I love my ribs, but when you compare that kind of food to Chinese cuisine, it's like, come on, you can't even compare that. You know, just the history, the level of sophistication, the techniques, you know, the experience you need to do all sorts of things in Chinese cuisine. You know, it's yeah, like it's a pity that Chinese are not good at marketing their things that are great. Uh, but I love Chinese, and I think it should be top three at least. Real Chinese food. Yeah. Perhaps broadcasters may get discouraged if they are seeing just a few. That is true. CPT Nemo, you are correct. Would you consider French, Italian, and Chinese are the first three? It means everything. Um, I'm Asian, so but I also used to work in a restaurant in Hong Kong. Are you asking me subjectively or objectively? I mean, obviously French is up there, right? French deserves to be in top three, but I think Chinese should be up there. And if I have to think of a third one, I'm more familiar with, say, Japanese food than any Latin American country, right? But I have heard really good things about Peruvian food. It's just that I don't have the opportunity to eat it. So, personally, okay, so if you're asking me subjectively, like my personal preference, it has to be Chinese, Japanese, and French, and French. You know, like American cuisine is for me super unhealthy. I love burgers. I love like barbecue, you know? Italian is good, but for me, it's not top three. It's probably top 10. Top five would be pushing it, you know? Um, but I think Italian is good. I like Italian food myself. Um, so Chinese, and the reason why Japanese is up there is because the perfectionism mentality of the Japanese chefs and growers. You know, it's a whole ecosystem. Like the Japanese pursue this perfect execution in everything they do, and when it comes to food, how they grow it, how it looks like, and how they cook it. Right, a bowl of noodles can be something very simple, but there's so many ways to do it, and it's fascinating how good it tastes. You would think, oh, raw fish, right? Sashimi. It's raw. Like it's not. Can you even consider it a cuisine, or is it even cooking, right? But it's actually super difficult to make good sushi sashimi. How can you compare burgers with century-old tradition Chinese cuisine? Well, you can't. But I mean, I lived in the U.S. for a time, so a lot of times, your food preferences is based on your experience. And I love burger, and I really like. Just last week, I went to a place that served a good burger the first time, and then we went there the second time, and their burger was not as good. And I was like, well, if you can't make a burger consistently good, then you're not that great at it. But a burger is not hard to make, right? It's pretty easy to figure out how to make a good burger. It's not that easy to figure out how to do Chinese food, like sweet and sour pork. You think sweet and sour pork is easy, you try to do it yourself and you realize how hard it is. Just to find the right cut of the ribs, usually you use ribs, right? To make the batter, right? Using the right temperature to deep fry the ribs with the batter, and then using the sauce with the right amount of acidity, sweetness, savory. Okay, and it has to be like hot temperature wise. And so something as simple, right, as sweet and sour pork, normal folks won't be able to do it because it's just complicated. And you need like equipments, like you need a lot of oil, and you need a big wok and all that kind of stuff. You know, from my American point of view, there are literally hundreds more Chinese food restaurants than French because there's more Chinese, I guess. Hey, Paula, I should have said per French restaurant. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not Chinese. I'm not going to judge her English grammar. Um, but yeah, like I should have. Yeah, so I mean, if we were to talk about food, I mean, I'm not a food critic or anything, but I really love the things I eat. Thai is interesting, but I won't say it's top five. I would probably say it's top 10 to top 15 because it lacks the level of sophistication when it comes to like making it. But the flavors and the textures, they're so sensational, you know? And so Thai food is another kind of cuisine that I appreciate it. But as far as comparing it with other cuisines in the world, right? You need a certain technique to know how to do Thai food for sure, especially with the flavors, because the profiling is very complex. But it's not rocket science, you know. Chinese cuisine for me is almost like rocket science. It's Chinese, then Japanese, and then French. Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, the experience itself, right? I don't go for fancy dinners. I like it once in a while, but I don't need to have like a four, five course meal, which is, you know, with full service and wine pairing and proper dining cutleries and all that kind of thing. I like my dinners to be just kind of family style, carefree, you know, casual. So I definitely am not going to eat French food every single day. And I don't think the French people eat fancy French food every day anyway. I mean, most of the time they eat what, like a sandwich, uh, plate of, I don't know, dish or whatever, right? Penguin style servers. Yeah. Um, you know, Chef's Table is one of my favorite Netflix cooking show, food show. I won't say cooking, but uh, Chef's Table for me is like food porn. It's basically food porn. You know, if there's anything that on TV I watch it and I'm like, oh my god, I want to try that place. It's Chef's Table. I think it's by far the best food show there is like currently. Before it was Anthony Bourdain with No Reservations. That was my favorite food show, and I like the style because I love the Anthony Bourdain. It's like the hole in the wall. It's the moms, like the moms of the kitchen cooking. It's homey food, right? I like that style. But when you talk about like world class chefs, I think Chef's Kitchen is by far the best. Burgers should start with good quality beef, freshly ground as possible, not be pressed together densely, and never pressed while cooking. Rick, I actually studied a little bit of burger cooking before, so um, the fat, the ratio between the fat and the lean meat of a burger is also important to a point. I kind of started experimenting on what kind of beef I should use, like what's the cut of the beef to make the burger patty, right? But you're not supposed to use the best cut. Like you're not gonna like grind a rib eye and make it into a burger patty. That's just wasteful, right? So it should be fresh, um, and the seasoning that has to be right, you know, and it's different. But I think what's more important for the beef patty and the burger is the fat and the lean meat ratio. Oh, I love Mexican food. I think Mexican food has to be top five of my favorite. Um, um, but For a burger, I think it's equally important to have the right amount of lettuce, the best slice of tomatoes, good enough cheese. I want cheese in my burger, and the buns. The buns have to be like great buns. I don't want soggy buns. I don't want buns that are too thick. It has to just complement, right? So it's the ratio. It's the ratio of carbs, veggies, and meat. You know, yeah. And so I know my burger, right? So I know my burger, and I cooked it myself. But people underestimate the importance of the vegetables in the burger. You need that crunchiness, and the crunchiness is from the lettuce, and the tomatoes. Like, it gives you that freshness of it. But it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing when you put it together. Whether you can have that whole experience. That's why I love In and Out. It's not fancy. They're not going to use like wagyu meat or whatever like that. But everything is just done right, and I love it. And people don't understand how complicated it can be. Butter and buns, then lightly toasted. Oh. Middle Eastern food. I have tried it, but I don't think I know enough about it. But I have to say, Middle Eastern food is it's. I mean, it's a big region, right? Greek food is interesting. So I went to Greece. I went to Turkey, and I like the food, but I don't know if I can say they're like top five. They're probably, yeah, top 10. Korean food is meh, right? Uh, There are some good Korean dishes. I like Korean barbecue, but the cuisine as a whole, it's whatever. I'm sorry, Koreans. Like, I mean, some of my Korean friends would agree that Korean food is not the best in the world. Yeah, um, but I guess it's the same with American cuisine, right? I love the burgers. I love like barbecue ribs, but American cuisine as a whole is you know it's whatever. And where do you put Southeast Asian food? Again, you can't say Southeast Asian food because there are so many countries. And so Thai is super different from Vietnam, and it's super different from Malaysia or Indonesia. And even within Thailand, there's different regions of it, right? So don't say East South like East Asian food or something like that. Like, people are going to get mad. Like, a Vietnamese would say, if you tell Vietnamese like, oh, you like Tom Yam Gong or Pad Thai, they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? You know? And if you talk to a Thai, say, oh, I love pho, it's like, it's a different world. Like, don't put us in the same basket. That's a big no-no. Anyway, you can tell that my voice is not normal. And I just want to check and see what's happening with Habs. I'm happy you guys are here. We can have a conversation. But I think next time I will be a little bit more prepared, and I'll pick a topic, or I'll find someone to do an interview, and hopefully I can get a little bit more engagement with Habs. And if you're watching this in YouTube or Twitter, that's great. But uh, I need to reconsider about my audience here, and how I can keep you guys entertained. So follow me on Twitter, Instagram, John M Ho, and DM me if you have any ideas or suggestions. I really very much want to get this whole live streaming thing going, but I need more motivation. I need more incentives. Asian, European, Mexican, Southeast Asian, and the Middle East food in that order. No, I won't say that because I would never say Asian food, European food. And why is Asian, European, and then Mexican though? Like, Mexican should be what, Latin American, right? Yeah. Have I considered Twitch? I've tried it, but I don't know. Maybe I need to try harder or something like that. Anyway, I'm really losing my voice, but thanks, you guys. Thanks, Fides and Rick and Rob and Paula and Betty. I know you guys have been watching my scopes for so long, so I will not abandon you. I just need to reconsider. Mexican is North America. Sorry, excuse me. Yes, you're right. I keep forgetting how to cut that region out. But anyway, let's talk more. Yeah. All right. Bye bye. Take care.